Thank you so much, Dr. Tahir Mumtaz Awan sir, for enlightening us about the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative in a very detailed and the principles of peaceful coexistence as well, and two of the main points on these two topics, GDI and GSI. So before moving towards our panel discussion, I would like to add few remarks of Chinese President Xi Jinping, his speech about Pak-China relations, and especially about CPEC. So I would like to add, just take 2 minutes to read this, because that's very important. Because you were discussing about the equality, and peaceful coexistence, shared values. So that speech reflects all these kind of things and all the points which you shared today with us. So President Xi Jinping, what he said in an official message, that friendship between China and Pakistan is based on trust and mutual support. And we have been devoted friends through both good and hard times. Our friendship is a pace setter for amicable relations between countries. First, we should strengthen mutual assistance and deepen strategic cooperation. We should keep the good tradition of frequent high-level visits and issues and support each other on issues involving our respective core interests and major concerns. Second, we should advance our shared interests and achieve common development. We should use CPEC to drive our practical cooperation, and we have seen practical cooperation of China, and industrial cooperation, so that the fruits of this development will reach both of all the people, Pakistani and Chinese people, and for our region as well. Third, we should enhance close exchanges to build lasting friendship. Diverse and colorful events of celebration and encourage more contacts and exchanges between young Chinese and Pakistanis. Fourth, we should stick together in face of difficulty and jointly meet security challenges that we have seen the Global Security Initiative in the form of GSI. The Chinese nation loves peace, and China will continue to pursue win-win cooperation. It will deepen win-win cooperation with its neighbors, not only with Pakistan, but its neighbors. China will continue, and this will create new development opportunities we have in the form of, CPEC and One Belt, One Road. When we talk about Pakistan, then definitely we are seeing the CPEC. And when we talk about Belt and Road, then it is for region. We will strengthen cooperation with countries along the land and maritime Silk Roads, so as to jointly build an open platform for cooperation and create new impetus to achieve sustainable development in the related regions. To build a China-Pakistan community of shared destiny is a strategic decision made by our two governments and peoples. Let us work together to create an even brighter future for China and Pakistan. And that was a speech of Chinese President Xi Jinping about China, Pakistan, and about CPEC. So the point is, you were discussing about the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative. And I think this speech reflects all the points which you covered so far. So thank you so much for this valuable input. So now I will be moving towards our panelists. And for that, we have Shamsul Hassan, who will be moderating the session. Over to you.
Thank you, Musawwir Tanoli, for giving me the floor. Hope I'm audible. For once, Napoleon said that China is a sleeping giant. Let her sleep, for when she wakes up, she will move the world. And similar couplets were on China was echoed by poet of the East, Allama Iqbal. And he said that Hamala ke chashme ubalne lage, gra khwab chini sambalne lage. So it gives me immense pleasure as a student of sinology that such initiatives are coming from the East and particularly from China. The Global Security Initiative, Global Development Initiative, and of course, the BRI Initiative. So Dr. Tahir Mumtaz Awan thoroughly shared about GDI, GSI, and how the world will be benefiting from it. So it needs no more elaboration, because Dr. Saab, it's always a joy to listen to him when he is dissecting and when he is having his critical analysis on topics. So it was very good for me as a student of sinology, that adds to my inventory of learning. So now I'll be giving the floor to our panelist, Ms. Hina Habib, if she's with us. So I'm giving the floor to you, Ms. Hina Habib, if you are here and listening to us.
Assalamu alaikum. कैसे हैं आप लोग? How are you all? Thank you, Dr. Saab. The way you have given your presentation, yes, we can relate Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative with our own problems in Pakistan and the problems around this region, and the problems people are facing all over the world, especially related to human security issues. Both the security initiatives and the development initiative that was launched by the Chinese and especially the Chinese president, why they felt the need to come with such initiative again. I think we know that the world historically have seen the number of wars, and after those wars, after losing on humanitarian grounds, their parties started realizing that we lost something, and now we have to come to the multilateral approaches and problem-solving issues again. So this is, I think, happened in the last decade or so as well, that countries around the world, especially some of the powerful countries, they move towards unilateral approaches, or if they are going towards the multilateral approaches, those multilateral approaches were actually on the expense of other countries, and they're moving towards those approaches that is causing offense to other countries, and in a way or another that has moved to a power competition, and that power competition unfortunately hurt the world, the people around the world. The core issues were ignored in that competition, and the core issues like human security issues, the poverty reduction plans, and the conflict resolution, that those issues are still there. The problem of Palestine, the problems of Kashmir, the problems of the other boundary problems. We as a leader, around the world, the leaders of the world, actually America, US, there is a great power competition which is going on, and that led the world to ignore some core issues. And those two initiatives, I think it's a reaffirmation, it's a revival of again the thing that we made the human countries, the countries around the world, they made they come to a point that they made United Nations, but they made the charter. But when come into the practical application of that charter, they everything, they move towards a competition, and that competition unfortunately has hurt the human security and humanity as a whole, I would say. So the security initiative, I'll move that on to S, that presented by the Chinese president. Yes, that was already explained by Dr. Saab, that there were 6 commitments he mentioned in it. and the commitments mentioned in Global Development Initiative that was also explained in length by the Dr. Saab. So I don't need to go into the details of those commitments, but I'll like to go through few of the points in this GCI. Yes, 6 commitments were mentioned in this, but I'll move to the commitment that is indivisible security, bringing the world towards an indivisible security community, and humanity should be the core part of this indivisible security community. Because if security issues are not resolved, it will be difficult for everyone to advance on human peace and development. I think that Maghrib prayers are going on, so can we take a break of 1 minute or so for this?
Yes,
Maghrib
we can
Azan. After
have
Azan, I think I'll
minute
continue
break.
after Azan.
Okay, after Azan, we can take a minute break.
And humanity is indivisible, humanity to move towards the indivisible security community. So this concept is that we should build a balanced, effective, sustainable security architecture, and that can oppose those ideas that can bring conflict, and building national security on the basis of insecurity of, because this unsustainable idea can only when we can be able to bring a security concept that is not a concept that can on the expense of other countries, and that can become insecurity to other countries, because this will definitely move towards a competition that will have that will give nothing to anyone. So what happened after that GDI? After 1 year of that GDI proposal by the Chinese, what has happened? Are they able to work on it practically, or this was the theory only on their part? So Global Development Initiative focused on the principle that should allow and promote national development and development issues, and through this they paid attention to the concrete measures. And what has China done? That they provided 15,000 tons of emergency humanitarian food aid to developing countries. So China played 5 roles in playing at the moment. They are playing as a what they are calling that world should do, but China is exemplifying them with their own approaches, with their own things. They are building world peace and become a contributor to global development. And they want that multilateral approaches should be adopted, and China is playing a mediator role in some of the conflicts as well. So am I audible? Because the connection showing is unstable. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. You can carry on.
Hello?
Yes, you're audible. You can carry on.
So China is a trading partner of 130 countries, and after this biggest initiative, they are the biggest engines of world economic growth. China contributes about 30% global growth. So China has implemented the UN 2030 agenda, and they tried to Belt and Road Initiative Program. 149 countries are in this as well, and 32 international organizations are also playing their part. So China has put forward 4 proposals for the Palestinian issue. So they are moving towards the global security initiative practically as well. So what they did, that they presented 5-point initiative to promote peace and stability in Middle East. And they urged on Iranian issue, they urged America to come back to the joint comprehensive plan of actions So and for the Korean peninsula, they provided some political initiative to settle the problem there as well. And what they are trying to do, they have something to do in the coordination and cooperation in the Afghanistan issue as well. So they also see the Ukrainian crisis as a crisis of with the lens of great power competition. So they said that this crisis can only be solved with the peaceful resolutions, and with the resolution where all parties can keep the crisis from spilling over and protect legitimate rights and interests of developing countries as well. So what India did in unilaterally in Kashmir, that is I think causing problem in our region as well. We're not able to focus on the resolution of Kashmir issue, and by unilateral approaches of India, it is just adding more trouble to the regional peace. So GDI or GSI looks an answer to the offensive designs of Indo-Pacific strategy, where you can say that Quad strategic dialogue, which is going on, America, US, and UK counter China strategy. And it's an answer to the overcome their tunnel visions of that contributes to deglobalization, populism, and xenophobia, which risk the impeding global governance of development and security. So GDI looks an answer to all this at the moment, and it's a very successful initiative, looks a successful initiative by the Chinese. And Pakistan also said that they will cooperate with China and with other countries for the development, global development and global security and economics, and try to move towards a global economic system that is fair and equitable, and that has inclusive benefits for all. And Pakistan shared that as a country, we will try to strengthen communication with the other countries, especially with China and the regional other countries, to contribute positively towards the peace and development. Similarly, America can work with China under this program as well, and they need to come back to the UN resolutions, some of the treaties that are important for the world peace and stability. So this initiative by Chinese also endorsed and has attracted the Indonesian President Joko Widodo in Beijing, and despite frictions, he also endorsed this idea of a global security initiative. So the world and the people, they are appreciating China on this initiative, and after 1 year of global development initiative, some 60 countries have joined the group, and more than 100 countries, international organizations, they're also offering their support to China. And China is working with the relevant parties group also. So they're moving, they're working in different areas that are important to the agriculture, education, and climate action that was already addressed by Dr. Saab. That these calamities and these problems like COVID-19 and the climate action program, and even the war in Ukraine, these crises have made us to look towards the solution as well. Then they became an opportunity for us now at the moment, that the world around the people around the world, they and the countries, especially the countries like China and America, they should have a lead and play a leading role and come back to the international treaties and come back to the core issues of international humanity. So 150 institutions from early 40 countries and regions are making joint preparation in the Chinese technical, vocational, and educational training program. So they are coming in this umbrella of the Global Development Initiative. China Pacific Island and climate action cooperation, which is going on. They are cooperating on COVID-19 vaccines, and their cooperation on the COVID-19 vaccines, and they provided to 13 countries. So they are moving towards the concrete practical steps after presenting these initiatives. They are practically into it, and this is what lacking in other other part of the world, and people in the other part of the world, they should learn from China, because China has provided 40,000 training opportunities to the group of friends under the GDI, and the 1,000 capacity building programs are going as well under this program. Even the president of Iran, he expressed endorsement to this initiative, and Ibrahim Raisi expressed full support to global development initiative, and international community is coming in. He indicated that apolitical cooperation with solid frameworks of peace can be critical for sustainable growth and collective prosperity to materialize. So people around the world are appreciating, the countries around the world are appreciating, and they want to become part of this global development initiative and security program launched by the Chinese. And I think the Western American approaches in the past and the present looks that made the world confused, or they lacked something concretely, because there were offers by the world peace, but there looks no steps towards the concrete steps. They are lacking in the concrete steps towards the bringing peace. So they presented models of peace as well, but what they are doing, that they are not moving practically towards those models, or they're not application of those models. They are lacking in that. They need to come back, and they need to do positively and promote the indivisible security. That they promote divisive the first Western first approach, or first America approach, and they need to shed these approaches, and they need to they are the big powers, and they need to come back to the international treaties, because China urged America and US to that China and America both come to the peaceful coexistence. That is very important to have win-win cooperation, and they, as a leader of the world, they can play their role better if they are able to resolve some core issues, some of their own issues as well. So world today, which looks not peaceful, and major powers competition has led us or led the humanity to some deep problems. So America and China needs to strengthen communication and cooperation for the stability, and countries like Pakistan and countries like some other countries as well need to bring up their model, or need to join America and China into this, because it's very important for the promotion of world peace. If US and China successfully solve their own issues, what they can do, that they can mobilize the G20 thing together, the UN treaties together, the international bodies for working towards the financial instruments. They can utilize those instruments together, and together they can move towards the poverty elimination. So the West especially have to leave the unilateral approaches, because they are at the moment looks an obstacle towards the peace. So I think this is the main thing that I want to share, because without respect and without trust, and this trust deficit definitely leads towards a conflict, and that will be a real danger for us, and actual cooperation would not happen. And this is important lessons that we as a humanity learn from the past, that conflicts are happens, but conflict resolution and the issues should be solved and with a problem solving approach as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hina Habib, for your valuable contribution, as always, to our sessions. You talked about the need of launching GDI and GSI, why it was felt for China and for the developing world to launch such initiative. Like the world, when it went to after the Second World War, the United Nations was formed, and it was felt that the world should no more go into such wars. But over the period of time, the countries felt that United Nations is becoming an organization which is safeguarding the interest of developed world, particularly the Western world. So the developing world felt kind of left out. And then you also mentioned about the unilateral approach of the Western countries, and contrary to that, China talks about the multilateral approach. So therefore, the need was felt, and especially the recent Russia-Ukraine war. So the need was felt that some the security initiatives, like global security initiative that China has launched, should safeguard the interest of developing world, and especially multilateral approach should come. And that's how the developing countries can also be safeguarded by, they could also be such robust security mechanisms which can safeguard their interest as well. There should be some country in the world, some mechanism in the world that should talk about their security, not only security at borders, but security inside their cities, inside their malls, inside their markets. So you very well elaborated that. And then you also talked about that such initiatives like GDI and GSI are getting the appreciation of all other countries, like you mentioned, Iran joining this